There's really no other way other than somebody buying the other person out, or I guess the other possibility would be selling the business and then splitting the proceeds.
If you're a business owner and going through a divorce, what do you need to know? We're going to talk to attorney Jimmy Vaught about that on today's Ask the Lawyer. Jimmy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to join you.
So in your experience as a family law attorney, do you see a lot of divorcing spouses where a small or closely held business is an asset in the proceedings?
We see that pretty frequently, quite frankly. We also see some big companies, but small businesses and closely held companies, we do see quite a few of.
So are businesses community property in Texas or separate property? And who determines what is separate property versus community or even marital property?
Well, it all depends on when the company was formed. Because under Texas law, if anything's formed before marriage, it's considered separate property under the inception of title concept. But if it's formed during the marriage, then it's going to be considered community property.
So if a business is determined to be separate property, can the other spouse still claim it in the proceedings?
Well, they can claim it, but they won't be successful.
What if the non-owner spouse worked for the business? Does that change things at all?
It really doesn't. Like I said, the court's going to look at when the title incepted for the business, and if it formed before the marriage, it's going to be separate property.
And how might a business that's determined to be separate property affect the division of other assets, or does it?
Well, it can, because in Texas, the properties are divided using a just and fair, just and right division. And so let's say, for example, that the small business was a significant amount of the estate, and let's say, for example, the husband's going to get the separate property business. The court can actually allocate the other assets to sort of offset that somewhat, not 100%, but at least to sort of help out the other spouse.
And what about a property that's determined to be community property? Does one person always have to buy out the other person? Can it be split up in other ways?
Well, that's an interesting question. The easiest way, let's say, particularly for a small business, is for one person to buy out the other party. Occasionally we have people who they're going to operate the business together. I don't usually recommend that, just because I think that it's just not a good idea for a divorcing couple. There's really no other way other than somebody buying the other person out, or I guess the other possibility would be selling the business and then splitting the proceeds.
And what about how is a business valuation determined to determine its worth?
Well, it depends somewhat on type of business, and there's three methods for valuation. There's the income method, there's the asset method, and then the market value method. And depending on the business, some or all of those may be appropriate in determining the value of the business. However, you also have things you need, particularly with a closely held business, is when you use the market value model or approach, is that it may not be marketable. And so there's usually a discount applied for lack of marketability.
This is certainly something no business owner wants to go through, but we certainly appreciate your information today and your time.
Sure.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Jimmy Vaught. If you want to ask him about your situation, you can call the number on the screen. Thanks for watching. I'm Molly Hendrickson for Ask the Lawyers.